They say you should never ask a woman her age, and if you are a woman and don't feel like disclosing your age, that's cool. But for me, I think there's a weirdness there. Like, why should we be ashamed of our age after a certain point, or have to hide it or try and pretend we're something other than we're not, when really, in my book, it's a privilege to get older, right? Like, people die all the time tragically, whether it's a car accident or cancer or some sort of, crazy other illness or, war. There's so many awful things that could cut this precious life short. So to garner years under your belt and more rotations underneath the sun, that is a privilege, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, there's always going to be someone who's older than you, and there's always going to be someone who's younger than you. It'll just keep rotating like that. So in my book, I just kind of want to own where I'm at and not let it define me, but not be something I have to always fake to be younger to gain some sort of whatever the hell approval. I mean, that sucks. If we're told that over the age of 30, we need to start trying to fake like we're younger than we are, and now we're old. Like, man, if you live till 100, so like that percentage of your life, 70%, whatever of your life is, you're considered old or over the hill or has been or washed up or prima donna, and you're just like, excuse me, wondering and like wishing about your yesteryears and fantasizing about how great your 20s were. Like, my 20s were a mess, and my teens were a mess, and my 30s were better, but drumroll, I'm 39 and I turned the big 40 this year. I'm turning 40 this year, and I definitely, when you think about the age of 40, when you're a teenager, you have that mentality of like, oh, that's old. I definitely don't want to get there anytime soon. And then when I was approaching 30, I had the same mentality as well. Like, oh my God, I'm turning 30. My life is over. I can't perform anymore. I can't do this, or I'm going to be seen in this way, or I can't wear this type of clothing, and the list goes on, or I'm going to have health problems now, and screw that. This magical thing happened when I had all this anxiety leading up to turning 30. And then all of a sudden, my birthday happened, and I did like a little ceremony at midnight and released the anxiety. And then as the days and months progressed on, I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is actually awesome. I'm like this new level of adult that I don't have to give a shit about what anyone thinks. Like, I work hard, I pay my own bills, I take care of myself, I'm doing what I want to do in the world. Like, I don't have to answer to anyone, actually, as long as I'm being a good person and not hurting anyone. And now as I'm approaching 40, I don't have the anxiety that I had when I was approaching 30. There's just this new level of not giving a shitness, that's a technical term, that it feels almost like this kind of rebirth in a way. Like, I'm going into the portal of a new era of my life, and it doesn't have to mean old. I think old is a state of mind. I've met, 15-year-olds who are so jaded on life and strung out and overworked or just like lost or depressed or whatever, that they seem old. And then at the restaurant I work at, there's this amazing woman. She's in her 90s and she still salsa dances and goes out to eat all the time and has boat parties. She lives on a boat, and she just lost her husband of like 50 something years, and obviously is grieving, but is still getting out there, and she's in amazing shape, and she is not old. I'm somewhere in between that. I'm turning 40, but I've decided to embrace it. And Carl Jung actually said, life begins at 40. Everything else up until that point is just research. And I like that. I dig it. I'm going to roll with that. I've definitely had a lot of growing pains throughout my teens, 20s, 30s, but my 30s were absolutely better than my 20s. So I think my 40s are going to be better than my 30s. Like, you just get more wisdom as you go on, more life experience, and yeah, you can accumulate more heartache over the years, but that's how you learn and that's how you grow, and it's all part of the human experience. And I value my health, and I try to eat well and get physical activity to take care of myself. And I don't subscribe to the belief that, oh, now as you get older, things are just going to fall apart in your body and you're going to start getting all these symptoms and diseases. And yeah, I mean, you can't control everything, but I think if you expect that, you're going to receive that in a lot of ways, because I've learned how to take care of my body better. I'm way healthier than I was when I was a teenager or in my early 20s. And just the idea of why do we have to, where did we get this paradigm of your prime life is in the years where you really have no idea what you're doing? I mean, I still, I'm sorting out life, but anyone that tells you they had their life completely figured out, I would maybe dig a little deeper on that, or maybe that's just their path, fine. But for me, I want my life to keep evolving and changing and exploring and becoming new versions of myself. And I've had many careers and I'll probably have many more. I like to shapeshift. I'm a Gemini. I like to experience new things. So I just don't subscribe to the fact that, oh, well, now I'm 40, so I'm middle-aged and I gotta hunker down and just, collect diseases and be just sort of washed up or whatever, or try really, really hard to be like, oh, look, don't I look 25? No, probably not. I mean, I don't know what I look like. It's always, that's such a subjective thing, but I feel pretty great. And of course, I'm not perfect. Some days I have hard days, that's life. But I feel better than I did in my early 30s, and my early 30s felt way better than my early 20s. And I think if you have the mentality that life can get better and better and better, not in this utopian, nothing will ever go wrong way, but in a deepening of your experience and a stronger knowledge of who you are as a person. And when you I think the more you hone in on your authenticity and expressing who you truly want to be in the world, that brings a youthful energy, so to speak, because it's a level of happiness. Again, not saying everything's perfect or nothing will ever go wrong, but when you really own your energy and start to love who you are, which I know very few young people, honestly, that can do that, because we're not taught that in school and a lot of our parents don't know how to do it. So it's something you gain over time, over the years, and it's part of life, is figuring out your own journey and how you want to express yourself in the world. But I'm excited for this new phase of life, and I encourage all my other fellow female friends who are either approaching 40 or just turned 40 to take all that noise of, oh, I'm old now, or I don't want to. I mean, if you really don't want to talk about your age, that's cool too. I don't want my age to define me either. I'm not going to go, I mean, here I am on YouTube saying it, but I'm not going to tell everyone every day, okay, guess what? I'm 40, I'm 40, I'm 40. It's, it's a number. Your energy is eternal, without getting too woo-woo. Who you are as a person should not be defined by some number that's on your driver's license or birth certificate. So with that stigma of the age thing, just let it go. It doesn't, let it be excited. Let it, again, like I said earlier, I think it's a privilege to get older, because there are so many lives cut so short, and each year you get to experience this magical, crazy thing called life. That's a gift. And just step into the unknown and be excited to see what the next era brings. And yeah, I'm 40, but I'm also a lot of other things. This age is not going to define me, other than I have a knowing of it, probably a deeper level of wisdom, and probably a deeper level of understanding, and a deeper curiosity to see where this next phase of life takes me, and to just kind of release control and be grateful that I get to be here and see what's next. So that's my speech for today. I'm turning 40 and it's going to be awesome. And yeah, you don't have to let your age define you. Just be grateful you get to still be here as a woman, as a man, as anyone. Yeah, that's it. All right, bye.